sometimes, a majority of the time, I don't see a lot of black men. I think this is weird, especially like when I'm going to school, like when I was getting my degree and like my art degree, a black man. It was maybe two other ones, but they were in different, like, you know, they were older than me. When I got my master's, it was one guy that was there. So imagine this being my dating pool. And even with work, the only black men I see are way older than me. And it's only like one. And when women said, like, the more degrees you get as a black woman, the spaces you occupy, you're going to see less black men. And I thought y'all were tripping. Oh, he got his bachelor's, he got his master's, he's working a corporate job. I'm talking about those type of men. I don't see that. Y'all tell me, y'all just think it's corny, right? That's why, right? Like, cause where y'all at? I'm scared to get my PhD because if I swear to you, I step on that campus, I've already looked at the data sets of all the schools that I applied to. Ain't a lot of this nowhere.
This is the Political Brown Kid, and yet again, it's always these are subtle digs at black men that black women are taking. Once again, I'm not trying to turn this into a gender war. I'm just bringing this for awareness and just to hopefully have conversation. And hopefully, what I'm trying to do is reach out to black women to say, hey, look, can we please stop this? And it's no offense to black women that watch the channel. And it's no offense to, black women in general, but there's just this subculture that just views particularly white men as being better. And then there's a lot of assumptions that black women are making about black men. And I don't know where this is coming from. And then once again, too, let me preface this by saying this. Maybe I just grew up different. Once again, I grew up very middle class. Very middle class. But my family placed emphasis not in like clothes and stuff. They placed emphasis in assets and wealth building. So, kind of grew up white in that sense, I would say, maybe, average white. But, we just didn't care about having, of course I did. I'm not going to lie. Of course I wanted, a pair of, whatever the hot shoes were at that time, when I was in the 80s and 90s. Of course I cared, but my parents always pushed back. And as you can see, like with white kids go to school and they wear like regular clothes. A lot of them you don't see in $200 shoes. I'm not trying to say they don't do it, but you don't see them like coveting, having to have the Air Jordans every year that one drops, having to come to school and, just, flash and show their wealth in their clothes when they live in poverty. Most white people, that's how they have money, is because they budget their money. And I'm bringing that up because of this. It kind of ties in with this video because we just have this perception that, white is better and whites are more educated, whites are this, and particularly, and so black women are just going down this path of just black men are just doing bad. And I'm bringing up my background because the brothers that I grew up with, most of the brothers that I grew up with, I would probably say 90% of us are doing very well. So I'm just trying to figure out who are these black women running across. And I think that maybe the black men that they should be looking at are the ones that are invisible to them. The man that they don't see because he's not either flashy, he's not either fine, so he doesn't fit, the things that she's looking for. He doesn't look like a supermodel, he doesn't look like, what's that guy that used to model for Ralph Lauren? And now, so that he doesn't look like Jeremy Meeks. I'm not talking about Jeremy Meeks. I'm talking about Tyson Beckford. But he doesn't look like Tyson Beckford or Jeremy Meeks. So black women aren't checking for him. He's not a football player that's about to win a multi-million-dollar contract. He's not somebody that a black woman recognizes as being a celebrity figure, because it seems like that's all that black women are really caring about is, they're mad at the NFL athletes, but they're not saying, well, there's a bunch of young black men that are good, hardworking professionals that make great money, but they're not athletes and they're not in that limelight, but they love black women. So, so to get back on track here, when she's trying to flex about, this education thing, once again, this is similar to the video that I made about the woman talking about traveling and why aren't black men traveling and black women are traveling. And she's trying to make a dig that black women are doing better. And in this video, this one is doing the same thing. It's, I got my degrees. I'm getting degrees. And with every degree I get, I don't see any black men. Well, let me say this. And once again, I'm going to refer back to, and I did a video on it. You can look for my video on Bill Maher. Bill Maher had a guest on his show, and that guest was also on CNN. He's been making the television rounds, I think, as early as 2022, talking about the young male crisis. He's talking about the young male crisis, and that crisis is involuntary celibacy, and that society is not focusing on men, not just black men, it's all men. Men have particularly, this guy basically said men are dropping out of the workforce, they're not pursuing higher education because the system is basically gearing up and they're making laws that are more advantageous for women. You see all of these diversity, equity, and inclusions, it all goes to women, especially black women, because you're black and a woman. So you're a double minority. So when there's a hire that goes down, these hirings are political. They're political. Kamala Harris is a prime example of that. Joe Biden explicitly said, I'm going to hire a black woman. He didn't say I'm going to hire the best person for the job. And obviously, looking at Kamala Harris, she is horrible as a vice president. And she just is. And that's just the truth of it. Even white people don't like her. And even Bill Maher, the person that I loathe, I can't stand Bill Maher. Even he doesn't like her. And he's the most racist liberal you'll ever find in your life. He's a bleeding heart liberal feminist, and he can't stand her. But she's a prime example of Joe Biden, a white person in a position of power, saying we're going to give something to a black woman because we can kill two minorities. The feminist movement will be satisfied and the African Americans will be satisfied. And that's how they think. And we, unfortunately, you have black women that don't see this. They don't empathize with us because they're getting theirs. So now they say, well, y'all figure it out. And why can't y'all get y'all's? Just for disclosure, I am educated. I have my bachelor's. I have, 2 master's degrees. Those master's degrees did not help propel my career any further because once you get to a certain position, the hirings, particularly for management, comes down to who likes you and who wants you around. And they're not putting black men in those positions because then we're threatening and they don't want to have to deal with us in management because they'll feel we'll take it over, where they feel as though black women, they can control a little more. She'll be a little more subservient. These are just facts, people. These are facts. They're probably not tacit facts or explicit facts that have been put on paper, but they're tacit. They're behind the scenes. They play their intangible qualifiers for people negating jobs to certain people and giving them to others. So, and also too, that talk to her, and like I said, I put my credentials out there. I have my bachelor's. I have 2 masters. I have certifications. So I'm not going to dig into the certifications that I have, but we're out here. We're out here. And so I can't speak for Chicago. I don't know what environment she's grown up in. But the thing that I hear this pattern with a lot of women, that they can't find men. But once again, for the newer, younger people that are coming, because I'm 45, but for the newer, younger people that are coming about, maybe they're not attending college. But once again, it goes back to that guest that was on Bill Maher's show talking about the young male crisis. Society has basically not addressed young men. And that's the same way that Donald Trump got elected. because society did not address white people or poor white people or middle class white people, or they left out a whole demographic that the Democrats failed to talk to and failed to address their issues and concerns. And then Donald Trump came along, and this is not about me. Just because I'm saying what I'm saying, it's not saying that I side with Donald Trump or I don't side with Donald Trump. I'm just giving y'all the facts, and CNN and any political analyst will tell you the same thing. Donald Trump came along and spoke to the people, and he spoke to the certain demographic of white people that were being ignored. And those white people said, I'm coming out to vote. Because contrary to popular belief, but black people are just, I see so many clueless, ignorant black people online, and don't take that as me being harsh, but it's just a fact. The fact of the matter is, black people assume we have our votes change the world. Our votes do not change the world in America. It really does not. There's only 20 something, 30 million black people in the United States. There are 300 million white people. White people outnumber you, I think, 9-1 or 10-1. So I don't care if every single black person goes out and votes tomorrow or come November. Come November, every black person can go out and vote for Biden come November. But if white people say, no, you know what, I kind of like I kind of like Donald Trump. Donald Trump's going to win because the white people have the numbers. The only thing black people do they're the deciders, because like I said, there's about 300 million white people in this country. I'm giving approximates. And the white people are split. 150 million of them are Democrats and 150 million are Republicans. And so they need a tiebreaker. And that tiebreaker has always been the black vote. But the Hispanic vote isn't it? They've let so many Hispanics in. Hispanics are the second biggest. The black people aren't even, the Hispanics are the biggest minority in this country. And they're not even a race, but they identify as one, right? So I'm bringing all that up to say this. You think that you're changing something, but you're not. White people will always dictate and control this society. So for this young female who's bragging about, how many degrees she's getting, you're getting those, and the promotions that you'll get them because the white man will give them to you before he'll give them to us. But going to your degrees, and I'm proud of you for getting degrees, but just keep this in mind, because trust me, this is coming from somebody who pursued higher education and who's an advocate for higher education. I'm not an advocate for higher education, but because I look at it like this. It's not necessary for most professions, not unless you're a doctor, a rocket scientist, some type of engineer, or so forth. It's not really necessary. However, it's a part of what society wants you to do. Everybody has a high school diploma. So what makes you stand out over the high school diploma? You get the bachelor's degree. So now everybody's getting a bachelor's degree. So what's going to make you stand out and make you better? It's going to be the master's. And that's going to push you over the edge, supposedly. And then as you keep going up, then as you can see this young lady talking about, she's going for a PhD. But it doesn't guarantee you a job. So you have to look at the cost benefit, because this is what I see from with a lot of black women. And I don't know what this one lady's situation is, but black women particularly dominate particular fields. You're going to see them a lot in human resources. You're going to see them a lot in the nursing field. They're either going to get their CNA. I don't know if they really go get their RNA. That's like the registered. That's like, I think, pretty much at the top. But they're going to get their CNA. They're going to become a registered nurse, certified nursing assistant. They're going to become a social worker. They're going to work in the human resource field. Those are the fields that they pretty much dominate. And I can tell you right now, people they get, and I think that just to be a social worker, you have to have, I think, a master's or a PhD. And they want you to get these degrees to come out and get a job that makes $30,000 a year or $40,000 a year. So you accumulate $100,000, $200,000 of debt to work a job that pays you $30,000, $40,000 a year. And mind you, remember, that's $30,000 gross. We're not talking about net. So out of that 30,000, you may take home what, 19, 21? Well, the 30,000 is below the poverty line, so they'll give all of that back to you because of the earned income credit. But once you start getting taxed with FICA and Social Security starts getting taken out, your local taxes, your federal taxes, state taxes, and then if you live in an area where you have to pay property taxes, that money is nothing. And so they're in particular, they're getting degrees. No one's denying that. But the fields that they're in, it's like they're not really either in a specialized field. Like they're not an electrician, they're not a plumber, because you'll see a lot of men, and I'm not saying black men, I don't know the numbers, but men, period, they'll get certifications either as plumbers, electricians, black men and black women. They're both barbers. Everybody goes for the barber thing. But the plumbers, the electricians, and then the IT certifications. So you'll see men dominating in those spaces, and the IT spaces are the spaces that pay the more money, and you can get into the IT field with just a certification. You can pay $20-something thousand to get a certification in whether it's, whatever particular concentration of information technology you want to work in, and you can go out and, for $20-something thousand, and for 6 months, you can train and get specialized in doing this, and then you can land a job making $80,000-$90,000 in a particular IT field. You can't do that with these degrees. A lot of places don't even respect degrees anymore. They don't respect degrees, and I'm not trying to say it's good. I'm not trying to say it's good, bad, right, or wrong. I'm just giving y'all facts. A lot of places do not respect college degrees, and I think that's sad. And that's why I think that the school system is really messed up. But that's a whole different conversation. Trust me, I've been through this, and I jumped through the hoops where I even said I'm not jumping through any more hoops. I'm just pretty much like this. I'm done because I've done what I've needed to do. I got my 2 masters. I got this. I got that. I'm not jumping through any more hoops. And fortunately for me, I didn't get saddled with a bunch of debt. So, I was fortunate in that regard. But, and then also the other thing that she's talking about, so I know I'm kind of talking very long, hitting those other points. But the other thing she talked about is she's like, I don't see the men on the campus, and I've looked at the schools that I'm attending. Well, what schools are you attending to? See, also that makes a big difference as well. I'm pretty sure it doesn't seem like she's targeting HBCUs, because then you'd see a whole bunch of black men if you were going for HBCU. I don't know what type of degree she's getting, so I can't say, well, okay, well, you should have gone to an HBCU as opposed to this, because I don't know the details of what she's talking about. But then the other thing, too, that she mentions is like, okay, she keeps saying like the higher that she goes up, the fewer and fewer black men she's going to encounter. Thus, her dating options go down. That's not necessarily true. That's only true because you will it to be that way. And once again, this goes to what a lot of men talk about and I hate that word hypergamy, but it is so true. It is the hypergamy effect. You think that, it's always going to be a category. You want a man to be better than you in every single category. You want him to be slimmer than you, even though some of these, and I'm not talking about this particular woman at this point in time. I'm just kind of speaking in general. I'm speaking in generalities. They want the man to be fit, but they're not fit. They want the man to be, or if they're fit, then he has to be fitter. If she has a slender body, then he has to be basically Hulk Hogan. Because once again, it's the hypergamy effect. If she's traveled to 2 and 3 countries and she travels 2 and 3 times a year, she has to travel at least 2 and 3 times a year if she doesn't want to deal with him. It's the hypergamy effect. If the only places that he travels to are the same places, if he's just going to the Bahamas every year, and she goes to Switzerland and Zurich, and she goes to all over these Amsterdam, and she's just all over the world, Finland, Iceland, Greenland, and she's just touring the whole world, then she's going to look down on you once again. So, and then if he's taller than you, if you're the same height, then he's not better than you. And now she's getting into the education. So I brought all that up to say about the education. So now it's about, okay, well, I'm more educated than him. I can't date these other guys. Regardless of whether she's saddled with debt and those other people are debt free, she doesn't care. She just views it as, I'm better than him. I can't date him. And these are the unfortunate things that you see in society. And, unfortunately, too, once again, you're hearing black women just assume that it's just black men that aren't educated and aren't pursuing the educations, when it's just women, period. Women, period, are doing, apparently with the newer generations. And I'm speaking of these, Gen Zers that are coming into, out of the college environment. And I'm speaking about the millennials, that are coming about. I actually fall into the millennial category. But, I'm speaking of those individuals. But, she's just basically making it seem like the more educated I get, the fewer people I can date. And that's just not true. It's just that you want to date the people that you want to date. And also the other thing, too, is that we just don't, once again, we don't find each other attractive. I keep telling y'all that, and I don't know why y'all haven't sunk that into y'all's head, but we don't find each other attractive. And what I mean by that is this, and maybe let me clean that up and give specifics. The black professional men don't find the black professional women attractive, and vice versa. We're not stimulated by the physical appearance of the other. And then even if we're stimulated by the physical appearance, the education will make us bump heads, because she's going to want to say she's right. And she wants to do this and she knows better than him. And and then he's going to be thinking the same thing. I know better than her. And those things are going to bump heads. But overall, the black people that are successful, when I say successful, I'm not talking about athletically successful or multimillionaire successful. I'm just talking about just successful in life and have, secured, at least well-paying middle income, to put you in the middle class. I'm speaking specifically of that, the middle class or even the upper middle class, or maybe even the upper class. But we look at each other and we're like, nope, they're not attractive. And I'm just being honest, whether it's because the men are out of shape or the women are out of shape or the men just don't look, cool. They don't look fly and, they don't have that swag, and maybe the woman doesn't look sexy and she doesn't give that good, that little, that sex appeal look to her. We're just not attracted to one another. So what do you see? You see the black female. She's always what I just heard a woman say the other day. I think it was on Kendra G show, a Jody from Baby Boy. Just get you a Jody. So the women are just getting them a Jody because he got the muscles, he's fun, he's carefree. He has that little swag to him. And, he's not a stiff, he doesn't, he can he got that street vibe with him, and she can have fun with him. And plus he's, he got the nice body, and, he probably can, that's what he's looking to do. Just kind of get it in with her on a regular. And vice versa, the black men, they're looking and they're saying, well, I'm going for the little hood rat joker because she's sexy. She's automatically possibly going to look up to me because I have more stuff. I'm more educated. I have this, I have that. And she's going to look up and kind of admire me, because men, we look for like respect. And we look for, a woman that's going to respect us, and a woman that's going to kind of look up and admire us. And, we're looking for that type of validation. I'm just being honest with you. Because when you get with and it's not to say that a black woman that's educated and on our level doesn't do that, but a lot of times you'll see them just like these women in the videos, they're not impressed with you. It's like, okay, well, you make $200,000, I make $200,000, or I make $180,000, so what? So she's looking at it like that. Or then she may say, okay, well, you got this master's degree, well, I got that master's degree, and I got a PhD. And then she may say, oh, you traveled here. Okay, well, I traveled there and I traveled to these 9 other places. So what's up? So that's why, like with the educated woman, she's not impressed with you. But when you date a woman that's probably coming from the projects or she doesn't have that much education, she's literally kind of impressed, like, dang girl, man, he got a little something going on. And once again, too, hood rat chick, she's already dealt with hood rat dudes. So she looking to do something different. See, the educated middle class woman, she's looking to just be in the streets and have fun because she didn't live that hood rat lifestyle. So she looking for fun. Whereas the other girl is looking for more so of stability. And she may be juicing you. The other girl may be juicing you. That's a possibility. But she's looking at you because he has good resources. He's a good dude. He's going to be around. They're both looking at it from different angles. The hood rat is like, I'm tired of dealing with these dudes in the project. I want something different. I want to do something different with my life. And so that's why you don't see, like, for the most part, two middle class educated black jokers getting together. We just don't like each other. We don't find each other attractive. And then if we do find each other attractive, then you're just not meshing on a personal level as far as your interactions are concerned. So for her to get by, I'm saying all that to say this, for her to as she continues to get degrees, all she should have to do is overlook. It's okay for her to say, well, you know what, I got my PhD, all he has is a bachelor's. I'm good with him. We good. What's the problem? It shouldn't become a competition of who makes more, who's more educated, who's this, who's that. The purpose is this person complementary? Do they complement me? And what I mean by compliment me, it could be in some areas you have the same particular values, because you do have to have, a foundation that you're both aligned with. But then you also want to be able to say, well, if I'm an introvert, in a way, I kind of want an extrovert because, we're going to balance each other out. He's going to be in areas where I'm introverted and I want to socialize, but I just don't have that skill. I can ride his coattails and I can be extroverted. And then similarly, that dude will be with a woman who, balances him out. She's more cerebral in her thought, like, maybe, because, guys in our testosterone, we have low patience. Sometimes we can let a lot of stuff get with us, but this woman calms me down and she knows how to tell me, nah, just chill, you good, and just step back. And she can kind of help me navigate certain environments and, with my temperament. So you want somebody that can balance you out. And so for this woman to just kind of negate guys just because maybe they're not PhDs, I hope she's not doing that. So, but who knows? You got to look at it from, if you ever watch certain television shows, you have television shows where there are women all the time, and I know these are television shows and they're fictitious, but, they date men that maybe like the white shows show them all the time. Matter of fact, Yellowstone is a good example, where you have Beth Dutton. She's a lawyer. She's a corporate lawyer. She makes good money. Her family owns the farm. They own about 300,000 acres. And then she's dating the roughneck cowboy that's on the farm. He doesn't make money. I think he makes $400 a week. He owns a few pair of jeans. He just wants to be a cowboy. It's what he loves to do. But she doesn't look at him and say, he doesn't make this type of money or that type of money. She just looks at him and say, this is a real man. He respects me. He loves me. And this is the direction that I want to go in. And that's what we need to get back to, is to be more aligned with that, as opposed to, doing comparisons to see who has more and what you can, and, finding somebody that just has more stuff, whether it's education, travel experiences, and so forth. So that's just my thought. Drop a comment in the comment section. Also hit the like and subscribe button. This is the Political Brown Kid. I'm out of here.